The discovery and the impossible nickel. In the frozen silence beyond the boundaries of our solar system, something unimaginable has begun to intrude upon our reality. Not a transmission flickering through the darkness. Not a spacecraft unfolding its wings or shining with artificial light. And not a message spoken in any language we know. It is something stranger. Something quieter. Something infinitely more subtle. A visitor has arrived. An interstellar traveler catalogued as 3I Atlas. It is racing through our system at a velocity that defies instinct. A speed so immense that even light itself seems almost sluggish in comparison. And as it moves, Atlas is not silent. It is leaving behind a trail. Not dust. Not ice. Not fragments of stone. But streams of shining metal. Pure nickel. Refined to a degree that shocks belief. 10 pounds of it every single second, bleeding steadily into the void. But this is no ordinary cosmic nickel. It is purified. It is stripped clean. It is almost entirely free of iron. And that should not be possible. In the natural universe, nickel and iron are born together. Forged in the same stellar fires. Released from the same collapsing stars. Bound like twins across the cosmos. To see one without the other is like finding smoke without fire. Or salt without sodium. It is a contradiction written in the language of chemistry. And now the James Webb Space Telescope has confirmed what some dared only to whisper. This is not a comet, carrying frozen relics of the early solar system. It is not an asteroid, fractured and broken by cosmic collisions. It may very well be something else entirely. A fragment of technology. A relic. A probe. Or perhaps a message disguised as matter itself. The story of this revelation begins on July 1, 2025. On that night, high in the clear Chilean desert, a powerful telescope array locked onto a fast-moving blur. It cut across the stars with unnatural haste. At first glance, astronomers assumed it was simply another icy wanderer from the distant Oort cloud. But calculations quickly destroyed that assumption. The object was traveling at 130,000 miles per hour. Far too fast to have formed inside our solar system. Its speed alone declared its origin, the interstellar dark. This was only the third confirmed interstellar visitor in human history. That fact alone was extraordinary. But what followed would shake astronomy itself. As scientists focused their most advanced instruments on the strange object, they prepared for familiar signatures. Water vapor should appear. Carbon compounds should appear. Silicate dust and trace metals should emerge. But the data they received was not familiar at all. It was shocking. 3I Atlas was releasing pure nickel in a steady flood. Not fragments. Not tiny hints. But a measurable, relentless stream. 10 pounds of refined nickel every second. And with each new observation, the absence of iron became more undeniable. The readings were consistent. Iron was simply not there. That absence became the first great alarm. It was the cosmic equivalent of a red flag. Because stars do not separate nickel from iron. Planets do not refine metals. Comets do not smelt alloys. Something, or someone, had done this. At Harvard, one astrophysicist finally gave voice to the growing unease. He recognized in this emission something disturbingly familiar. Not natural. Not geological. But industrial. On Earth, separating nickel from iron is not easy. It demands colossal heat, complex machinery, and staggering amounts of energy. It is the achievement of refineries, furnaces, and infrastructure. You do not stumble across refined nickel lying loose in deserts. You do not find it scattered across mountaintops. And you certainly do not expect to see it spilling, clean and steady, into the void of space. This is a process, he warned. Nature does not do this, industry does. And in that moment, the central question shifted. Not what is 3I Atlas, but who, or what, trajectory, signals and the unsettling possibility the James Webb Space Telescope was called upon to strip away the mystery. Its unmatched infrared eyes pierced the halo, layer by layer. What it found only deepened the enigma. Instead of water ice, the coma was thick with carbon dioxide. The ratio of carbon dioxide to water was the highest ever recorded for a space object, 8:1. By comparison, the comets of our solar system rarely exceed 4:1. This was not simply unusual. It was chemically alien. And within that cloud lay not crude metals, but refined alloys. Metals arranged in combinations familiar to human industry. Mixtures used in spacecraft hulls, in high-stress energy systems, and in advanced sensors. Yet here they were, drifting free from an object we once thought was nothing more than a rock. Even stranger, the release was not chaotic. Typical comets erupt violently when solar heat cracks volatile ice. Bursts flare, then fade. But 3I Atlas was different. The outflow was smooth. It was uniform. It was controlled. And the gas plume did not align with where the sun should have triggered sublimation. It streamed in another direction entirely, as though aimed. Some theorists began to whisper that this was not outgassing at all. It was propulsion. Not rocket engines thundering with fuel. But something subtler. Micro-thrust. A theoretical technique of expelling material to steer across the void. If true, then Atlas was not simply drifting. It was piloting. Its course added to the unease. It was not meandering randomly through our system. It was moving with precision. First Venus. Then Mars. Then Jupiter. Each flyby close enough to gather data, each slingshot adjusting velocity with uncanny accuracy. The odds of such a path occurring by chance? Almost non-existent. Its perihelion, its closest pass to the Sun, occurred exactly when Earth was shielded from view. A moment of perfect concealment. Coincidence? Or design? Then came the metals themselves. Among the released alloys were vanadium, tungsten, and something that should not have been there at all. Technetium. An element with no stable isotopes. A product of reactors and refinement, not of natural geology. To find it drifting in a pure, isolated form was a statement. A whisper from across the void that seemed to say, "We understand fusion, do you?" And so the darker theories arose. What if 3I Atlas is not a probe in the sense we imagine? Not a messenger. Not even an emissary. What if it is a test? A filter, drifting silently through space, designed to measure us. Not to communicate, but to watch. To observe how quickly we detect anomalies. To see how deeply we investigate impossibilities. To study whether our brightest minds cooperate under pressure. And perhaps most of all, to watch how our species handles uncertainty. Because a civilization that ignores the abnormal will never leave its cradle. And a civilization that sees the anomaly but hides it in fear may not be ready to join anything greater. Seen in this light, 3I Atlas is not merely a visitor. It is an evaluation. A quiet drifting test of who we are. And perhaps, of who we are becoming.